On a blistering Sunday afternoon in late July 2022 in Yuma, Arizona, I retreated from my sweltering studio apartment to house-sit a friend's ranch-style place on the outskirts, expecting quiet desert nights and reliable air conditioning, but almost as soon as I unpacked my laptop, I heard an ice cream truck jingle drifting across the baked subdivision. Odd, because the temperature still read 111 degrees and children had long retreated indoors. The tune floated slower than any carousel song, notes dragging as if melted by heat. Yet the sound sparked nostalgia strong enough that I stepped onto the porch, shading my eyes, and spotted a faded white step van idling at the cul-de-sac's end. Its paint once bright with cartoon popsicles now peeled in curls, exposing primer the color of dried blood, and instead of cheery decals, the panels displayed handwritten menu names in chalky script that seemed to smear, even without touch. The driver's window sat open, but no face filled it, only a rectangular hole framing the shimmering pavement behind. I almost waved, then caught myself. Adults don't chase ice cream trucks alone, and the inside of my mouth tasted like pennies. I went back inside, cranked the AC, assured myself it would drive off. Evening fell. The mercury dipped to a livable 92. I settled at the kitchen island to finish a project proposal when the sluggish jingle seeped through window seals again, same 3 bars looping, followed by a soft metallic pop, like freezer doors unlatching, directly outside the back patio this time. Impossible, since the yard was boxed in by 6-foot cinder block walls and a gate locked from the inside. I peered through blinds. Nothing moved in moon-white gravel, yet I swore cold air wafted in waves despite the swampy night. The power flickered, refrigerator compressor died, and with it, the house's hum dipped toward silence so complete, I heard my own pulse in eardrums. The jingle faded. Refrigerator kicked back on, but its LED panel now displayed minus 31 degrees Fahrenheit instead of the preset, 34. I reset it, chalking fluctuation to a brownout. Next late morning, I ventured to load groceries. As I opened the freezer, a child's crayon drawing lay atop the ice tray, paper stiff with frost, showing the same step van parked under a crescent moon. Stick figure kids lining up, their eyes drawn as hollow circles. I had not purchased groceries yet, nor had my friend mentioned children visiting. I tossed the paper, unnerved, and drove to the nearest market. Returning an hour later, I spotted the truck again, this time crawling slowly along Avenue B, more paint stripped off revealing rivet seams, and on its windshield someone had scrawled, "Welcome home," in the same chalky hand. I kept driving, pulse racing, until it turned down a side street and vanished. That night, the song returned precisely at 2:13 a.m. I know because every screen in the house blinked awake, displaying that time stamp, even devices powered off. The jingle no longer came from outside, but from the vent of the kitchen freezer, tinny and distant, accompanied by gentle knocks as if someone tapped the appliance's interior walls. My skin prickled when the stainless steel door bulged outward, then relaxed, like lungs exhaling. I filmed with my phone, but playback later captured only compressor hiss. Gathering nerve, I yanked the plug. The knocking stopped mid-tap, leaving a faint echo in my teeth. I slept fitfully on the couch, if shallow jolts of consciousness can be called sleep. At dawn, I found 2 unopened orange push-pops neatly stacked on the welcome mat. Their wrappers immaculate, despite 94-degree pre-dawn heat. I checked the gate, still latched from inside. The pops felt frozen rock solid. When I sliced one open under hot tap water, the ice cream inside was gray. Not freezer burn gray, but slate-colored, with hairline swirls like fingerprints embedded in cream. A smell like burned sugar and ozone hit my nose. I flushed both treats and resolved to drive into town for the day. Yet every mile I put between myself and the house, my phone's map rerouted me along back roads that curved, eventually looping toward the perimeter of South Yuma Cemetery, where, parked beneath a mesquite, waited the same ice cream van. This close, I read the side menu. Tomorrow Pop, Melt Again Bar, Rewind Rocket, all priced free. The driver's window rolled down, though nobody sat there, and an arm as pallid as candle wax extended, holding out a black push-pop etched with the word yesterday. The hand's fingers were child-sized but proportional to an adult limb. I floored the gas, fishtailed gravel, and did not slow until the house reappeared in rear view. Van nowhere. Inside, freezer temp blinked -31 again, though it remained unplugged. Frost coated the door seal from within, spelling reverse letters. Enjoy before it melts. The jingle seeped from the rubber gasket, slowed further until each note took a full breath to finish. I tried prying the door, but it clung shut. My phone chimed with a calendar alert. Ice cream. 2:13 a.m. Daily. Auto-created. Unable to delete. Dusk draped the desert in bronze, and dread hoisted every hair while I watched kettle lightning pulse beyond the Gila Ridge. At midnight, I barricaded the kitchen with dining chairs. Yet, at 2:12, the entire house's power surged. Smart bulbs strobed white, then cold vapor rolled under the threshold, smelling of eucalyptus and pennies. The jingle started inside every wall, vibing studs like tuning forks. Freezer door clicked, slow and tender. I pushed into the kitchen too late. Chairs toppled, door fully open revealing empty cavity hung with curls of crystal frost except for a small square hatch at the back that hadn't existed before, swinging open onto darkness colder than any appliance could reach. From within drifted the tinkling of bells and distant laughter played in reverse. The air snapped frigid. Breath plumed. My phone timer auto-started counting down from 60. At 10 seconds, a shape emerged. A figure my height wearing an ice cream vendor uniform yellowed by age, head obscured by a cardboard drum of Neapolitan whose 3 stripes seeped together down shirt front. It stepped from the hatch, feet crunching frost, extending its waxy child hand holding a fresh push-pop labeled again. My spine locked. Timer hit 0 and screen filled with word melt. House heat returned in a roar. Figure blinked away. Freezer hatch slammed, leaving only plastic push-pop on the floor. Gray cream leaking rivulets that hissed where they met tile, etching smoky letters. Next time. I fled before sunrise, leaving keys on the counter. A realtor friend later told me new buyers replaced the fridge, yet appliance installers found compressor coils packed with dozens of brittle crayon drawings of the van, all signed with my name in handwriting I hadn't used since 2nd grade. No unit in that zip code orders ice cream trucks anymore, but neighbors still report hearing a slowed jingle at 2:13 drifting across the cul-de-sac, joined by the faint click of freezer doors unlatching somewhere the desert heat can't quite touch. On the fog-clotted evening of October 29, 2021, while caretaking an off-season rental cottage on Orr's Island, Maine, I took my retriever for a last walk along the empty shore road and heard, impossibly, the bright chime of an ice cream truck drifting through spruce trunks. Wrong month, wrong temperature, and certainly wrong audience given the closest kids now lived 20 miles inland. The melody staggered a beat slow, notes warped as if played through damp vinyl, yet it triggered the same sugary memory that once made me sprint barefoot on 4th of July mornings, double-scoop cones frosted with salt crystals. And Baxter's hackles rising should have warned me to keep walking. But curiosity rooted my boots to the shell-striped pavement long enough for headlights to glow through the fog like twin moons. The truck rolled into view. A vintage Grumman step van whose graphics, rocket pops, drumsticks, cartoon whales, had faded to watercolor stains, and on the side panel someone had hand-painted sea glass suites in seafoam green, letters dripping as though still wet. Its refrigeration unit thrummed louder than a lobster boat diesel, even though no vapor puffed from rooftop vents, and behind the serving window hung strands of beach glass glinting blue-green. No driver appeared inside. Steering wheel turned itself in patient micro-adjustments, yet the van matched my walking pace, until it reached the cottage's crushed clam driveway where it idled, chime silencing mid-measure like a record paused. Baxter growled but whimpered when I tugged the leash, and the van's speaker crackled to life with a voice, neither child nor adult. The fog tasted metallic. I hustled Baxter inside, bolted the sun-bleached door, and tried rationalizing what I'd seen. Maybe a coastal tour gimmick. But the night grew stranger. Power flickered, and every outlet emitted faint cold air smelling of freezer burn mixed with brine. At 2:17 a.m., I jolted awake to the jingle again, this time seeping through the floorboards from the rocky beach below the cliff as if the truck had driven across the tidal flats. Moonlight etched the window. Outside, the van idled 20 yards from the receding surf tires half sunken in eelgrass, yet refrigeration still humming. The serving window unlatched itself, and rows of treats inside glowed phosphorescent blue push-pops shaped like lighthouse lenses. Sandwiches pressed into starfish molds, double-scoop cones frosted with salt crystals. I should have phoned police. But my cell showed no service, and the landline whispered a dial tone bent downward in pitch every few seconds like a sinking buoy. Then the voice reached my ears without speaker distortion, speaking from everywhere in the cottage. Come, taste what the sea forgot to swallow. The doorknob frosted white. I told myself the truck would leave with the tide. Instead, the tide reversed against a lunar schedule, water rushing seaward faster, exposing barnacle-clumped rocks that glittered like the beach glass strands. Compelled by a dread curiosity too heavy to ignore, I grabbed a flashlight, locked Baxter in the bathroom, and stepped onto the porch where air froze my breath, despite the thermostat's 50 degrees. As I approached the van, its undercarriage dripped seawater that hissed when hitting sand, leaving ruts that refilled with pebbles shifting in circular currents. The menu board listed flavors tied to coastal tragedies: nor'easter grape, shipwreck cherry, undertow vanilla. A single item, low tide twist, was scribbled beneath at $0. The freezer door clicked, cracking open to reveal swirling mist. Against reason, I reached inside and withdrew a popsicle so cold it steamed, colors spiraling indigo and white like a barber pole. The stick bore my full name burned into cedar. Before conscience intervened, I tasted it. The flavor yanked me back to age 9. Afternoon storm. The last time I saw my older brother alive. He'd paddled beyond lobster pots, promising to retrieve a floating buoy. Never returned. The popsicle melted backward, reforming each lick, and the fog around me brightened, with scenes replaying. My brother's red life vest bobbing, gulls circling, Coast Guard searchlights. A wave of guilt and longing collapsed my knees. Trade one memory to keep another warm. I staggered away. Popsicle still intact, despite heatless steam. Behind me, the freezer racks revolved, now displaying flotsam artifacts. My brother's cracked compass, a Polaroid of us building sandcastles, even the pewter pocket knife he always carried. Each artifact embedded inside its own frozen swirl. The voice offered a bargain, ingest enough twist, relive enough moments, and the lost could step silver-footed across the sand one more night. Panic reignited self-preservation. I hurled the popsicle onto the rocks. It didn't shatter, just fizzed into seawater that climbed legs like living gelatin trying to harden. I dashed upslope, water sheeting off at porch threshold. Inside, every mirror reflected the truck parked inches away, though glass faced opposite directions. My discarded coat dripped salt water, although never wet. Baxter barked frantic as freezer air seeped under bathroom door. I dragged furniture to block the entrance, but hinges iced over until screws creaked. Then the jingle restarted, notes playing backwards so slow each bell sounded like a whale moan. The tide outside reversed again, surging inland, waves lapping van tires. Through the peephole, I watched the serving window close, the driver's seat filled with movement. No person, but a mass of glittering beach glass swirling into human outline wearing a cracked captain's hat. It waved a hand made of bottle shards, and the truck rolled backward over water, floating once wheels left sand, jingle growing fainter until fog swallowed lights. Dawn broke hot and dry, shoreline resumed normal tide cycle, yet tracks in eelgrass baked into salt outlines. My tongue stung where the pop cycle touched. Mirrors showed faint sea glass flecks in my eyes until noon sun dissolved them. I left the cottage that afternoon. The neighbor across the way later texted about hearing music at random tides. Always the same slow tune. People find frosted sea glass push pops on their porches that never melt. Flavors stirring memories they swore forgotten. They've begun calling the occurrence the saltwater freezer burn. A local legend bloom. But I keep my windows shut and mouth empty, because the sea forgets nothing. It just keeps your memories on ice until you're thirsty enough to trade the living present for a bite that melts backward and leaves frostbite on your future. During the citywide blackout of August 7, 2020 in Wichita, Kansas, I was working overtime at the Regional Hospital's Record Archives Annex, a low-slung brick building separated from the main campus by a mile of vacant lots and shuttered storefronts, and at 11:54 p.m., just after backup generators failed and elevators froze, I heard an ice cream truck melody waft through the ventilation ducts, impossibly clear in the suffocating dark. The tune was "Pop Goes the Weasel," yet played on bright Celesta chimes that never quite reached the pop, as if the final note had been filed off. I laughed at the absurdity. 110 degrees outside, power out for 12 hours, nobody anywhere near, with freezer stock. Until my phone flashlight caught a punch card taped to the fire exit door, the kind vendors once stamped for free treats every 10th purchase. The card already bore 9 tiny seals shaped like clown faces, and neat cursive above the last blank circle read, "One more for the grown-up who forgot." I yanked it down, but static leapt between card and fingers, stinging like carpet shock. Curious dread urged me to the loading dock, where sodium street lamps had died. Yet the alley shimmered blue-white under a mobile freezer's interior glow. A 1970s step van idled with its generator humming steady despite the grid failure. Hand-painted along the faded metal was Sugar Roustabout, stenciled letters peeling like sunburned skin, while its service window hung open, curtain of shimmering plastic strips fluttering though no wind reached the alley. I crossed cracked asphalt, every instinct yelling "Go back!" Yet the heat inside the building felt worse than whatever waited, and the card pulsed cold in my fist. As I approached, the Celesta music stopped mid-bar and the plastic curtain parted inward. Freezer mist rolled out, unnaturally dense, curling across my boots without dissipating. A small brass bell dangled above the service ledge and rang once, not a jingle, a single toll, after which a gloved hand emerged from the fog holding a metal stamp crusted with frost. No body followed. The glove's fabric looked like parachute silk, stitches zigzagged with tarnished thread. It paused until I lifted the punch card. The hand stamped the final clown seal in dead silence, then withdrew. The bell tolled a second time, and the window's inner lights brightened, illuminating trays of treats wrapped in waxy parchment instead of modern plastic. Each bore a handwritten label referencing forgotten flavors: taffy radiator, corn silk swirl, and one tagged night shift Neapolitan. The last caught my eye because its label displayed my employee ID number in smeared ink beneath the flavor name. A breath of Freon cold air sighed from the van. Figure Enjoy while the lights are out. I reached for the night shift bar. The moment fingers touched paper, the alley's distant skyline flickered with lightning, though the sky remained clear. I unwrapped the bar. 3 stripes, like normal Neapolitan, except colors all wrong. Charcoal, pale teal, and bruise purple. It smelled like copier ozone and overbrewed coffee. I nibbled the charcoal end, and the blackout vanished. I stood in the annex file room earlier that afternoon, watching myself drop a stack of charts and curse. I felt both bodies. Present me tasting ice. Past me unaware. Another bite of teal stripe, and the scene jumped further back to my hiring interview 5 years prior. Electric jitter highlighting every foolish boast I'd made. I realized the bar was spooling my employment history in reverse, each lick erasing time. Panic struck when I looked at the punch card. 8 clown seals had faded to blank circles. Each memory I revisited wiped a stamp. If I finished the bar, nothing would exist of my career, maybe of me, beyond the alley. I hurled the half-eaten bar onto asphalt where it hissed, melting against heat-baked tar that should have liquefied it instantly, yet left it intact, frosting the ground. The bell tolled a 3rd time. Glove returned, offering another bar labeled Severance Sunday. Behind it, the freezer shelves expanded, receding into impossible depth lined with thousands of wax-wrapped moments, each tag bearing someone's name in my family. The glove made a gentle, beckoning motion. I backed away. Alley shadows stretched toward me, though the van lights remained fixed. Celesta music resumed, now finishing the pop. On that final note, every streetlight along the block blinked on, though power downtown was still out per radio reports. The van's engine tone rose, generator cycling to a pitch that vibrated my teeth, and the step van began to roll backward without a driver, windows staying pointed at me. Glove still extended until distance forced it inside. Fog trailed, evaporating into sparks that fizzed against relit lamps before darkness swallowed the vehicle at the alley's dead end where no road continued. I fled inside, cardiac hammer banging. Backup generators clattered to life exactly as the van disappeared. Colleagues later swore the hospital grid never lost emergency power. Only our annex had blacked out. Security footage from loading dock cams showed me entering the alley alone, standing rigid for 2 minutes, then retreating. No truck, no fog. The punch card remained in my pocket, seals now blank except for the final clown stamped in frost white. Date field reading August 7th, 1963, decades before my birth. Wherever I hide it, the card reappears on shift clipboard whenever storms threaten the grid. At 11:54 p.m. every month during maintenance shutdown, pop goes. The weasel drifts through the ventilation ducts, ending cleanly on that missing note, and the lights dim just long enough for a brass bell to toll once from somewhere below sub-basement. I no longer cover night shifts, but I still hear the Celesta echo when copier ozone thickens at dusk, reminding me there's one free punch left on the card, and a freezer full of backdated flavors ready to serve anyone hungry enough to taste their life in reverse and melt away the hours they thought were their own. When the jingle drifts through heat or blackout, remember, some treats cost the memories that make you real. If these true ice cream truck horrors chilled your summer night, like, share, subscribe, and smash the bell icon, because the next melody may already be parking outside your door.